Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a special guest, Elena, and she is a music therapist. And if you want to hear and learn about music therapy and what it means, please stay tuned. So Elena, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And a lot of people don't know, but you're also my good friend. And the first thing I was thinking about for my viewers and for people that are doing music, that there's a lot of professions out there like music therapy that you can do. It's not just singing, right? And I really would like to tell you about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so I am a music therapist at NYU Rehab Center.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially I work with patients who are rehabilitating from brain injuries, from strokes, from any sort of neurologic dysfunction or orthopedic surgeries. So our patients stay here for typically anywhere up to 2 weeks up to maybe 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's within the NYU hospital umbrella, so it's really a great place to work.
Wow, that sounds great. So how did you start to be a music therapist?
Well, music's been a part of my life ever since I can remember.
Right.
And when I was in high school, one of my teachers told me about music therapy because I knew I wanted to get into music as a profession. And I was looking at all these different avenues of where music can be used in the workplace. So she introduced me to music therapy, and I was like, this is like, it sounded really interesting because it amalgamates music, which I love, and helping people, which I also love. So that summer I volunteered for a music therapist at a Alzheimer's facility and fell in love with it.
Wow.
And I went to university, got my master's degree in music therapy. And then
In Canada.
In Canada, yeah.
Right.
So my master's is from Wilfrid Laurier University. It's one of 3 master's programs in all of Canada.
Yeah, it's not that well spread as we wish. We always knew that music has a big part of therapy. We all know that healing effect, but everybody kind of acknowledged that. But I think recently it started to be legit.
Yeah.
And you really see that.
It's definitely starting to become more recognized, and there's many more programs being built and a lot of more research coming out and emerging. So it's getting there. It takes some time, but it's getting there. And then after my master's degree, I moved here to New York for an internship at the Louis Armstrong Center for Music Medicine, which is just next door, and they pump out a lot of amazing research in music therapy. And then I got a job here at NYU.
Yes, and you definitely are doing an amazing job.
Yeah, it's a really great job.
Wow. Okay, so I just want to ask you as a music therapist, okay? First of all, how your day looks like what a music therapist does.
So I walk in, I check any referrals that I have, I work on any projects, like for example, right now I'm working on a music therapy report and research project with one of my patients. So I do case studies. I'll write case studies of patient experiences, of what I've done with patients in the past. I'll look to see what patients of mine have appointments in the day. So I do a lot of music therapy in their physical therapy appointments, in occupational therapy appointments, in speech appointments. So I'll check the schedule and plan out my day that way.
So you're doing a lot of different things with them. Music therapy, you have to do a lot of them. It's not just coming and sing for them, right?
There's an actual medical process to it. So I'll go in and I'll see what the physical therapy goals are, what the occupational therapy goals are, and I think, okay, how can I include music in these goals?
Wow.
How can I make the therapy more enjoyable for the patient and more effective towards achieving these clinical goals? And then I'll go and I'll have a session with the patient and, talk to the family about what exactly I'm doing and what my role is. Talk to the occupational, physical, or speech therapist afterwards about what worked, what didn't work, what we can include in our next session.
So it's a really teamwork. You have to have your family included, you have to have all the crew included, right?
Yeah, that's the way to have the most effective care in a medical setting, is a lot of communication, a lot of interdisciplinary work, and a lot of figuring out what works best for this individual patient, because everyone is so different.
Right.
And then I'll come up, plan a group, do my charting, and kind of start the thing all over again. So I do both individual and group work.
That's amazing. Now, a question for you. Now, we know that a lot of time, maybe whatever considered legit medical technique or medicine didn't work, but music actually worked. Do you have anything like that you've seen that music really brought and really shown a huge development and improvement within the patient?
Yes, definitely.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, so I had a patient who had a traumatic brain injury. He was here about 4 or 5 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when he first came to us, he was nonverbal, not able to walk. He was he appeared very unaware of his surroundings,
mm-hmm.
and, just kind of
shut down,
frozen, just kind of not really there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told, so when I received the referral to see this patient, I was told that music was a huge part of his family's life and his life, and he was learning the piano prior to his accident. So I came into the session.
So a lot of patients come from kind of background of music?
Yeah, they
wow.
can. Oh gosh, we have a lot of patients who are phenomenal musicians.
Right.
Yeah, really.
So that's
like better than me and blow me out of the water. It's amazing.
Wow.
But this patient, so I put the keyboard in front of him just to see where he was at, just to see. I put his hands on the piano, just wanted to see what would happen. And I was playing a little bit with him. And him hearing the sound of the piano, it looked like it ignited something, and he instantly lit up. He smiled.
Mm.
He started playing, and prior to his accident, he was learning how to play "Somewhere Over the Rainbow."
Nice.
So he started playing he
he
started playing the melody line of "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" over and over and over again with one hand, and his parents were like completely blown away because it was the first time they had seen a sense of normalcy in him and a sense of familiarity that they hadn't witnessed in so long.
He's communicating.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a mode of communication. And then he was, because of his brain injury, the left side of his body was very weak and non-functioning. So I brought up his left hand, and he was trying really hard to play with his hand. So it gives that sense of
motivation.
Exactly. Unique motivation. And I want to be a part of making this music, and I want to play this song that I love so much.
If he would do just squeezing the ball, like regular therapy, physical therapy,
I mean,
it would not be as
it's
stimulating.
effective, but it's not as stimulating.
Right.
It's not as motivating if you were to include music and squeeze the ball to music, squeeze the ball high, squeeze the ball low, shake the ball around. So it makes it more engaging.
100%. Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
And let's say as a music educator in general classroom, unfortunately, we face, not fortunately, but it's just the reality, especially in New York, we have such a diverse kind of population where we have students. In my classroom, I have students who are ADHD. We have, behavior issues, and how you incorporate music therapy, which is such a powerful tool, to the classroom. What's some of the tips you can give us?
As a music educator who has patients like that, I mean, a lot of the time these kids are misunderstood and they're diagnosed with this, and teachers, kind of is at a standstill. So it's about meeting the patient where they are, really understanding what they need, really understanding, okay, if this person is very frustrated, or if they're very anxious, or if they're very moving around a lot, maybe put an instrument in front of them and let them work that out through drumming, or let them do shakers and play along with some songs with them.
Right.
If you're ever doing music making in a classroom, you can be mindful of that. If you're doing music as a group, okay, what is this patient specifically going to need?
Right. It's very different.
Do they want a really loud sound to let out some aggression? Then give them a really big drum or a cymbal just to get that energy out onto something to help release it.
Would you recommend to isolate them first, maybe taking them during recess time?
That completely depends. Yeah, completely depends on the patient, on the student. So if the student is having difficulty in a group setting, then ideally it is more beneficial to have one-on-one sessions or one-on-one conversations or music playing sessions with them, to work out what's going on and to work out some of their some of what's going on and what's causing them to not be able to be in a group.
Right.
So you work through that, and then gradually you can bring them into a group. So it is much more specialized, but it works great because music it's a non-threatening activity. It's safe depending on what songs you use and how you use it. So a kid can feel like, oh, I'm just making music. This is not a big deal. But really, the educator or therapist, if there's an actual therapeutic process to it. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I remember when I was asking you in my classroom, I had, unfortunately, the most amazing boy that he was my first grade, and his parents divorced. And he was so shut down, and it's not that he had a problem, but he was, as you described, frustrated, and he didn't talk at all, but he talked with his hands. And I was like, I have to ask Elena what she thinks about it. And the first thing you said to me, let him play the drum. Let him get the aggression, because he's so physical and so using his hands a lot. Let him take that, don't try to manipulate it, don't try to change it, just take that and have them put in an instrument.
Yeah.
And it really truly helped. And little by little start to verbalize more,
Yeah.
and talking and communicating. It's definitely a work in process, and it's definitely not just me, it has to be with a professional, and there is professional in school which you should be in touch with to really build a program that supports the student, and each student is so different and has to be addressed that way as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's important to note that it's not something that you can just rush. I mean, if a student is going through something, if they have something that's going on in their lives, you need to honor that and honor that must be really hard for you to go through, and to be that kind of safety person for them, and to be that person that they can go to if they have any, concerns or any questions. And, you're going through this must be really hard, and you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but look at all the instruments we have in the room. If you want to just jam with me sometime or hang out sometime, then we can definitely do
just
that.
Open the door for them, and
Yeah.
whenever they feel.
Even offering that in itself, maybe the student will never, take the offer, but even having that offer and knowing that someone's there for you is very
It's crucial.
beneficial in itself.
It's crucial.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Now, speaking of also student, as a vocal instructor, right, I find a lot of times that a lot of my students have a problem to reach high notes or sing a particular word in a song, and when I'm isolating that to a regular exercise, there's no problem. They're singing perfectly, high and low. And I came across during my master's, I was doing a thesis about vocal psychotherapy, which is a great book by Diane Austin, which I really recommend. I'm going to put the link below. But this is something she really truly refers. Singing, it's not just an isolated instrument, it's within you. It's really connected with all those psychological and mental and everything together. And this is actually a very powerful tool to use your voice to kind of overcome any, let's say, challenges you're facing or anything like that. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's just what you said, that the voice it's the instrument we carry with us all the time.
Right.
It's the instrument that represents who we are, represents our experiences, and there's a lot that you can tell from a person. There's a lot of information you can get from a person just from their voice. What's the tone of their voice? What's the pitch of their voice? Are they talking very fast? Are they talking very slow? Are they cutting themselves off? Is there a lot of breath when they're talking?
Right.
Is there no breath when they're talking? So there's a lot of
Their
things.
body language
Their
as
body
well.
language, exactly.
Their
What are
clothes
they?
or
All
their-
the nonverbal communication cues that you can tell what is going on with this person. So some things that I have done in the past is just taking two notes and alternating back and forth.
Two chords or notes?
Let's say two chords.
Right.
So like a
1
C
and 5.
or a minor third, C
Right.
or 1 and 5. It really depends on. It
Yeah.
depends on you, or it depends on the student. But making it very simple, we're just going to sing back and forth between two chords. And as the instructor, you can either hold the tonic or you can support the patient with whatever way they're vocalizing. But what's great about it is that there's a rocking motion to it. And it's very comforting, it's safe, it's predictable because you know exactly where the notes are going to be going, and the student or the patient has this space, this big space that's also kind of contained, but this beautiful space to explore what's going on. And it's freeing, and it doesn't seem very invasive in the moment, but as a student you can really see, okay, how comforting is this for the patient? How is their voice changing and what's really going on? And after that, you can talk about it more if you'd like.
Right, and kind of analyze that.
Yeah.
More into that.
If you are going to analyze it more, of course, I would recommend getting the training in vocal
100%,
psychotherapy,
100%.
which Diane Austin actually does in New York.
Right.
So definitely being trained in it is very important because a lot of things can emerge from the voice that some people may never think of.
Right. So if you really see that within your student, I recommend to, if you're not an expert, refer them to somebody that actually can do a better job, right? So any last thoughts? Anything you want to give anyone that wants to be a music therapist? Some tips how to become one, and anything you want to add?
I would definitely research more about music therapy programs in your community. You can reach out to music therapists, ask any questions that you have. maybe volunteer just to see if music therapy is the right profession for you. And then you can reference the American Music Therapy Association website if you have any questions or if you want any articles. It's a great resource to check out. And there's a lot of programs within New York and within the States and in Canada and all over the world. So you can really study music therapy anywhere you want.
Any personal tips how to handle? Sometimes those are very kind of difficult, and being in that, it's hard to be in the environment where you have death and sickness and hospital, and how you stay like strong and motivated?
A lot of supervision, a lot of processing with an experienced music therapist or with your peers, a lot of processing of what happened, what place is this coming from, and being very aware of your abilities and very aware of how your experiences are coming out through the therapy. So it's a lot of awareness, a lot of processing. I do a lot of improvisation on the piano or on the guitar.
Just be open.
Just being open,
Just be open.
And really talk, and not being afraid to talk about it. And there are going to be patients that come up. If you're becoming a music therapist, there are patients that will bring out something in you that you didn't know could happen, or
didn't
bring
talk
up
about it, but as a teacher or a therapist, you find yourself actually benefiting more from the process because you're learning about yourself even more.
Exactly.
So it's amazing.
You're just being aware of it, talking with your peers, talking with supervisors. I have a clinical supervisor who I see for an hour every week, so I'm very fortunate to have that.
That's amazing.
And it's a way to just process everything. And if you are learning to be a music therapist or studying to be a music therapist, you'll also have a clinical supervisor.
That's great. So thank you so much, Elena,
You're
for
welcome.
having me.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.